Back at it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Day 66. Raiders still looking for a head coach.
Still
looking for a head coach. Bro, did you see that LeBron James thing? That report, you know what I mean, about
Yes, I that.
well, Jeannie Buss basically saying like,
Yeah.
He should be grateful that they drafted his son. There's all types of crazy stuff like that, but
Yeah, it's
a lot of Lakers drama these days.
Yeah, man. We not winning like you want to win, man. It's crazy. Like the Lakers are locked into the playoffs. So like that's first world problems. That's what I call that.
It's funny too. Warriors got their own problems too. I don't know if you've been paying
Yeah,
attention to that.
I saw Jimmy, and then I know it's the drama with Kuminga. Like, right, Kuminga ain't getting no run.
It's hella just politics, bro. But that's how you know like it's near the end for a team.
Yeah.
Stuff like this is happening. Steph is getting up there in age and all that type of stuff. It's just, oh man. But hey, look, we got a lot to look forward to. The Raiders got the #1 pick.
Yeah, no.
We got a lot to look forward to. Don't forget to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Here we go. We back. We are back for another edition of Around the Shield, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. It's going to be a great show. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Raiders still haven't, announced their head coach. We're still waiting on the news, but since every day we're hearing something new. We're hearing something that can possibly point us in the right direction. And recently the Raiders, we'll get into this whole conversation, but Jesse Minter was just named the Ravens head coach, and supposedly the Raiders were looking to possibly hire him. I mean, they were going after him hard the last 24 hours, according to Jordan Schultz. Some people say, oh, that's agent-motivated news that was put out by the agents and all that type of stuff. But, I think there's some reason to believe that, like there was some interest there. Obviously, the Raiders have interviewed everybody, and we'll get into that whole process because the Raiders obviously have a completely different process to what they did last year. It seems like they had specific candidates that they interviewed, and then they came up with a decision. This year, they're interviewing everybody. We'll get into that and if that makes sense and how everybody feels about that. And yeah, man, we'll get into who are the available candidates. And I'm holding out hope for Rizzo, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. He says, let me put this on the screen. He says, Ted Nguyen tweeted that Mike McDaniel has been told he's out of the running for Raider head coach position, that he still has interest in the job. Where is this? Okay. So there is some truth to Ted Nguyen, because he's also, I don't think he has any confirmed information. Like, I don't know if he has a source. But if you guys remember the kind of lost in all the noise and translation of when everybody heard that Mike McDaniel news going to the Chargers, everybody's like, oh, well, Mike McDaniel's going to the Chargers. But Tom Pelissero, who also broke the news as well, who was talked about the hiring or possible hiring between the Chargers and McDaniel, what it really meant is that McDaniel, if he were to go to an OC job, most likely he would be heading into the Chargers. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's out of the running for the head coaching positions. And at the time, it was between the Ravens and the Raiders. The Ravens have since hired their coach in, Jesse Minter. So, right now, it's in the Raiders' court right now. Or do they bring him back for a second interview? Because from what I know, they only interviewed once, and it was in Miami and was in person. I don't know if they're going to still bring him back for a second interview, or if, that in-person interview was enough where they can just make their decision from there and, pick whoever at head coach. But one thing to note is that if you go to the Chargers website, if you go to the Chargers media, social media, they haven't officially announced that Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator. So until that happens, I'm assuming that, he's still kind of holding out until, he knows that he's not going to get a head coaching job. And the thing is, he wants that Raiders job because he canceled the Browns head coaching job. When I say he canceled Browns head coaching job, the interview that he had scheduled, which actually would have been scheduled today. He actually would have been talking to him today, and he canceled that on Tuesday when the news broke out. So for me, that's some good news. I'm still holding out hope because I think Mike McDaniel, for me, he's my number one guy. He's the safe option. Raiders don't mess this up. We gotta develop a quarterback, and why not develop it with a guy who's experienced and proven, like a Mike McDaniel. I know that we've gone with the retreat route before, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, why would we do that? But Mike McDaniel is legit top 5 offensive mind in football. So, take that for however you want to take that. Raiders have the number 1 pick. We cannot mess this up. And he's not a bad coach. I don't think he's a bad coach.
And I don't think just because a guy had a job before, I don't consider that a retread. Like, if you've had a job before, like a lot of these people have had jobs before, I don't consider them retreads. It's just a guy that had a job before, didn't work out, and now he's going to another job.
Yeah.
It's like a retread, I think, is a guy that's like, it's like older candidate, multiple job type deal. A guy that's not really on a whole bunch, like Mike McCarthy. That's a retread. Like in my opinion, that's a retread. I wouldn't consider Mike McDaniel a retread. I think he's still super young, and so he's just a guy on his second opportunity. So, and yeah, I mean, I think Mike McDaniel makes a lot of sense, man. Just him canceling the Cleveland thing, I want to believe, that's good news for us. But from what I've been hearing about, salute MG. What I've been hearing about like Cleveland is that like a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm cool off Cleveland. Like I'm good off that organization. Like they don't want to go there. So I don't know what's going to end up being the case there. Maybe a guy, they might have to settle for a guy like a Giro, Evero, or maybe if Brian Flores has any interest in taking over and coaching a Myles Garrett type dude. I think the young offensive minded people, I think for the most part, they're going to stay away from their job. And I'm surprised, more of them aren't staying away. Well, you aren't staying away from here. But just because they're taking interviews doesn't necessarily mean they're if they have options, they will take this job.
Yeah. Hey, salute to my guy. Ready to smoke with a super chat. What's up with my guys? Warming up to Davis Webb. So that's a candidate that salute. Appreciate the super chat. But Davis Webb is the current QB coach for the Denver Broncos. A lot of people are high on him. They really like his potential at head coach. They see him as a head coach in the NFL. Now the Raiders, if they were to hire him, they're going to hire him maybe a little bit earlier than what you would want him earlier. Usually guys that you hire or guys that you would typically hire for head coach are like coordinators. Now, are there examples of head coaches not being coordinators that become head coaches? For sure. You know what I mean? Like if you're a Raider fan, AP was a head coach, but he was a former linebacker coach. I think there were other.
That's a different case though, because like AP was interim, so like rarely has it happened where a guy was hired straight from position coach to head coach. Like rarely does it happen, and rarely does it happen and it be successful. And people first when people start talking about what about John Madden? He was a linebacker. I'm like, look, bro, if this was done in a decade where a kicker won an MVP or any preceding decade, like a kicker won an MVP in the 80s. If you talking about some stuff that happened in the 80s, bro, don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear about it because the game ain't the same no more, bro. So right. I don't want to hear about John Madden was able to come from linebacker. So it's a different game, brother. It's way more complex, way more complicated. I don't want to hear about that happening way back when there was before when they was playing 14 games. Like I don't want to hear about it. All right, like keep it modern. And the last person I can think of that did it and was successful was Andy Reid. And Andy Reid was even though Andy Reid wasn't a coordinator, he was still assistant head coach. So he still had that extra level of responsibility. So though he wasn't a coordinator, he was assistant head coach. But outside of Andy Reid, I can't think of the last person that did it and wasn't a coordinator and had success.
Yeah, it's
with the Redskins.
Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk. Can you make it work? Can you possibly make it work? Yeah, you would probably have to like get some, at least I would say one. You probably just need one experienced coach on staff. Like let's say, for example, all right, I've heard this connection. I've heard a Davis Webb with Cliff Kingsbury at offensive coordinator, former head coach. He's an OC. I know a lot of people are gonna, Cliff Kingsbury, we've kind of been there, done that, kind of almost did that. He kind of spurned the Raiders a little bit. There's a connection with him with that. He also has connection with Brian Daboll. He played his last team one of the last teams I think he played for was the Giants. And at the time, Brian Daboll was the head coach. So there's a connection there. He can probably bring him on staff if he doesn't obviously accept or becomes a head coach for the Bills, which is crazy to think that's a possibility. But if that doesn't happen, then he's a possible OC option.
Talking about falling upwards.
Bro, that's crazy. And part of the reason why is not because his relationship between the GM, it's Josh Allen. And I don't know if you've seen a recent report. They said Josh Allen is like helping him lead the search, like on some Max Crosby level You know what I mean? I mean, he's quarterback of the team, but still, like,
Not on some Max Crosby level, apparently.
even bigger. I mean, you're leading, like, you're part of the search. Like, that might be an overstatement, but like, man, it's gonna be interesting to see what direction they go over there. But yeah, there's a way to make it work, but at the end of the day, it is risky. I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's what I was trying to say the other day, was about like all these coaches have negatives and positives about them, and we can pick them apart. We can talk about the positives, we can talk about the negatives. And I went, for me, with the Raiders having the number one pick, quarterback being the most important position on the football field, development being huge. You know what? I like the for sure double, triple with McDaniel. Yeah. I like it. That's just me. Can you talk me into Clint Kubiak? Yeah. You know what I mean? I like what he did this year with the Seahawks. But does he come with a risk? Yes. I know Severe's big on Mike LaFleur. Does he come with some risk? Yeah, I think so, personally. You know what I mean? His time with the Jets was not good. It just wasn't good. Now, can you point to a lot of different things and why it didn't work? It's the Jets? Sure. But then you look at the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like, let's not act like we're the an all-star team here. You know what I mean? So, like, we gotta make it make sense. But like I said, all of them are gonna come with a risk, and it's about how they probably sell themselves in that interview process. It seems like, because Spytek and Brady, they're kind of concerned on getting their guy. I'm hoping they get the guy that can help them in this rebuild process, that can help them develop the offensive weapons that they have, young pieces in Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, and most importantly, the quarterback they're most likely going to be drafted at number 1. So if their mind is there at that point, then McDaniel to me is the easy choice, which, Coach, I was not going to cry, man. Relax, bro. Relax. I was just like, come on, bro. That was just... I was just like, man, the Chargers, come on, man. That it would be a big time Al Davis type move. All these Charger fans, all three of them that are out here, excited about Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator, but no official, report, nothing official has come from the team. And the Raiders just come out the woodworks and just hire McDaniel as the head coach. You weaken a divisional opponent because they just lost their defensive coordinator in Jesse Minter. Yep. And to take their basically offensive coordinator, now they're kind of like going to be scrambling to replace 2 coordinator spots. I think there's something I think that's an Al Davis move right there. That's a chess move right there. Okay. Little checkmate right there to me. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be, like you said, playing keep away from a division rival. Get a damn good schemer, offensive schemer, guy that you would expect to be able to get some production out of the run game. Who did you draft number 1 overall this past year? Ashton Genty. We seen him have success with multiple running backs. As soon as Darren Waller stepped foot in Miami, he started playing well until he got hurt again. Like I think that's a guy that he comes with a lot of pluses. Like you said, there's some question marks there as well. But like he's a guy, he's a known quantity, that's for sure. Like, and that's what is maybe intriguing about him, because you kind of know what you're getting. That could also, sometimes the unknown is enticing. And, again, you see a guy that's potential, and you see, man, like, hey, we get this guy. What could he be? He could be the next McVay. This guy could be Liam Cohen, and you get that, and you get tantalized by that, the possibility, instead of going with, hey, I know what I have here. So I think that's what could be playing against him a little bit. But if we were to hire Mike McDaniel, I'd be cool. I know my dog, Raider Smoke, said he's warming up to the idea of Davis Webb. I won't say I'm warming up to Davis Webb, but if we do hire him, I'm going to be hot. I'm gonna be hot. That's for sure. I'm gonna be hot. So he's not a guy who I think is ready. He's not a guy who I think is ready. So if we make that move, I'm gonna have some serious questions about what we're doing.
So Jesse Minter, he goes to the Ravens. The Raiders reportedly were highly interested in Jesse Minter. He's one of the top candidates, if not the top candidate, according to Jordan Schultz. And Vinny also spoke on the topic as well. And Vinny had an interesting comment, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this, man, because he let me pull this up here so I can just say this verbatim. Says it word for word, man, bar for bar. Let's see here. So yeah, he talked about the this year's offensive candidate pool, and he was just kind of taking shots. Let's see here. I have it in the thread here. Boom. All right, here we go. He says something to keep in mind regarding the Raiders coaching search compared to past years, last offseason, or the McVay-Shanahan year. This cycle has not produced a particularly strong group of offensive guys. And then he goes on to say, as in if you're looking for a Johnson, Cohen, McVay, Shanahan type schematic leadership and overall plan wise, this doesn't appear to be the year. Interesting. And then he keeps going. He says still feel offensive direction they go in unless one of the defensive guys can put together a compelling plan, a coaching staff to develop Mendoza and the offense, that could change things. So I think it's very interesting that Vinny comes out and say that because, we all know like Vinny is kind of like, in some way or form kind of connected to the Raiders. So he's kind of putting stuff out there that's probably going to be either pushing a narrative or pro Raiders in some way or form. And for him to downplay the offensive candidates in a year where the Raiders interviewed probably more offensive candidates than they ever did. And I feel like there's way more, like as far as head coach candidates, this has actually been a pretty solid coaching cycle. Last year was pretty bad. Last year, it was literally Ben Johnson in regards to the Raiders and their options. It was Ben Johnson. And then from there, it was a huge drop off. You got Pete Carroll. KC defensive coordinator was interviewed. Was it who else got interviewed? The Raiders did
Joseph,
Vance
Frazier,
just
Spags got interviewed.
Spags got interviewed. It was just like, whoa, it was terrible. And I know they requested an interview with Todd Monken. He left them hanging. He didn't even return their call. Liam Coleman, we never even heard an interview requested or anything like that. So I'm sure like maybe word is put out that they wasn't going to. Yeah, there's probably not. Yeah, we're not going to come for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But we all know. I mean, it's probably because of the offensive situation and not having a quarterback and not having an answer there. But and then he goes on to say, well, look at last year had Johnson and Liam Cohen, like, but in reality, everybody knew that last coaching cycle, it was Ben Johnson and everybody else. And then you could throw in Vrabel in there. I think Vrabel was also a top candidate, and then Ben Johnson going in as far as names. It's like it was just those are the two names, and then was everybody else. Liam Cohen was just as of a candidate that Clint Kubiak was. As far as like, had buzz around his name as an offensive guy, and some of these other guys. I mean, Mike McDaniel's out there. I know I'm gonna keep saying his name, but he's out there. Look, and if you want to talk about overall head coaching candidates, I feel like this coaching cycle has way more options. I mean, the Stefanski, I know a lot of people are not huge, but like people are high on Stefanski. People are high on him. 2-time coach of the year. I'm not saying like I wanted the Raiders to hire Stefanski, but I'm just saying he was out there and he's highly viewed around the league. Went ahead and he was one of the first coaches hired. You got Stefanski, John Harbaugh. I know Tomlin is not. He's retired, but when I remember when he left the Steelers, everybody was talking about that, right? But then you're also talking about these coordinators, the Clint Kubiaks. You're talking about Chris Shula. You're talking about Jesse Minter. You're talking like there's way more. So for him to even say that, and I know he was specifically talking about offensive candidates, for him to say that, it just sounded like either one, the Raiders were preparing to hire a defensive candidate, or two, he's trying to like prepare the fans and the fan base and everybody for the Raiders to go after an inexperienced candidate. Like a Davis Webb, or maybe a guy that we're not talking about is the passing game coordinator for the Rams.
Shoelace.
I know you keep calling him Shoelace. I think it's
I don't know how to say this man.
Shieldhouse. I think it's Shieldhouse.
We're gonna go with Shieldhouse.
you just want to call him Shoelace. You just want to call him Shoelace.
Whatever's clever. But yeah, I mean but that's what it sounds like to me, because just to say that there's not as many like last year's like coaching class is like this year's quarterback class, right? Where there's like one guy, last year it was Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
For the quarterback class this year, it's Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, we missed out on Ben Johnson. We're in prime position to get Fernando Mendoza. So, but this year, this coaching class, bro, there's like it's so much variety. It's like pick like whatever you like.
Yeah.
You want a young defensive guy? Oh, okay, bam, they out there. You want a young offensive guy? Oh, bam, they out there. You want an older offensive guy? Oh, bam, they out there. You want a experience? Oh, man, we got that too. You want an up and comer? Oh, we got one of those. Like you got literally every single category you can think of is out there right now. So it's like I mean, I know the Raiders are probably waiting to get another opportunity to interview in person some of these other candidates that are in the playoffs right now, and I don't think they'll get the opportunity until obviously they're out of the playoffs, or is that week break between the championship game and the Super Bowl. I think they can do in-persons there's like a window of time where they can do interviews during that time. So they may be waiting, to get a second interview with one of those guys before they really push forward and make a decision. And if they decide they want one of those guys and they come to some form of agreement, obviously they'll wait till after the Super Bowl to make that decision. Like, my guy in New Orleans, he got hired like I want to say 2 days after the Super Bowl. So it could be a situation like that where we don't hire a guy until after that time. But and a lot of people's top candidate is Clint Kubiak. Obviously, my top candidate is Mike LaFleur, and both those guys, they face off against each other this upcoming weekend. So like the outcome of that game could go a long way toward deciding who's our head coach, ironically.
Well, the one thing I will say that Clint has over Mike LaFleur is that he has more success as a play caller.
In 1 year, yeah. In this 1 year.
I ain't gonna lie. Even in like this, even before this year, he had flashes too. Yeah. He had flash prior to this year. Right. But that's the thing on Clint Kubiak. He's been a 1 year wonder.
Yeah.
He's only lasted with one team. 1 year.
Quarterbacks. That's another thing. Like, he's never had to do it with inexperienced quarterbacks. The year he was in Minnesota, he had Kirk Cousins. The year he did it, it wasn't really success, but the year he started off pretty good and then floundered, the rest of the year, he had Derek Carr. And now he's doing it with Sam Darnold, who I've said part of the success with Sam Darnold is, who did Sam Darnold play for 3 years ago? Kyle Shanahan, who was Kubiak, a disciple of. Obviously, it's his father, but Mike Shanahan. And then Sam Darnold went to the Vikings, who ran a very similar scheme, right? So essentially, Sam Darnold's been in the same offense for 3 years. So that level of comfort he's going to have in his offense, he's going to be able to execute at a high level because he's very comfortable in it. So I look at that stuff and that's like, how much is it really him? How much is just Sam Darnold, being able to continue the success that he's had, obviously being in a stylistically similar system for 3 consecutive years, which is something he really hasn't had that much before. So, and then you also got to look at the intangible stuff. Like, I want a guy that's going to be a leader of men. I don't look at Kubiak like he's a leader of men. I look at Mike LaFleur, I hear him talk, I hear him articulate. Like, he sounds like he's a guy that has a plan. He just sounds like a guy that can command the room. I see that he's worked for Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, yeah, Robert Saleh hired him, and then he's worked for Sean McVay as well. You know, who spent some time with Sean McVay and went on to have success? Matt LaFleur. Who else spent some time with Sean McVay and went on to have some success? Liam Cohen. Like, you know, I see these offensive guys that cycle through and are his offensive coordinators. They go elsewhere. They usually do pretty well. So that's a guy that has, from the two most fruitful coaching trees in the NFL right now, is the Shanahan tree and the Sean McVay tree. He's worked for both of those guys. And, you know, I was saying before, Kyle Shanahan identified him years ago. You know, him and Mike McDaniel, ironically, identified both those guys as guys he said were geniuses and he thought would be head coaches one day. This is coming from Kyle Shanahan, who most considered the top 5 coach in the NFL right now. So he's looking at a guy saying, this guy's going to be a head coach one day. I'm giving him more responsibility now because I think he's going to be a head coach one day. Well, to me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah. No, look, I see, because you're kind of you're betting on Mike LaFleur to be the guy because of his experience with the times that he had with Shanahan, and as recently as, obviously, he's the offensive coordinator for Sean McVay. But like I said, it still comes with a little bit of risk. Clinton Kubiak comes with a little bit of risk. Davis Webb, obviously, he comes with a lot of risk as well. Yeah, man. I'm right now. I'm kind of risk averse right now. I just want to hit. I don't need to hit a home run right now. You know what I mean? We don't have to hit a home run higher if we don't. Like, there's no Ben Johnson type candidate right now, just waiting in the wings right now. It's not that type of coaching style. That's the one thing I'll agree with Vinny about. There is no Ben Johnson per se, but there is a lot of guys who are that could intrigue you as far as a guy that you could possibly hire. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But I want to ask you this, man, because the way the Raiders have kind of gone about like the coaching, like the last coaching cycle, they interviewed, and I touched on this earlier, but like they only interviewed like a handful of guys, right? They went about it like kind of very specific candidates. It feels like they're interviewing everybody. Do you feel like that's like the right approach at the way that they're approaching it? Do you feel like it's the right approach? Because sometimes people can get paralysis over analysis, right? Yeah. So, and as they're like trying to take their time and interview guys and trying to get them to come back, guys are getting hired. So it's a possible chance that Jesse Minter was their guy. Whether anybody likes it or not, it could have been their guy. But they lost out on him because they were like probably taking their time. And then there could have been another candidate that probably they were high on that we don't know of. And they took their time. You know what I'm saying? So do you feel like they've gone about it the right way?
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is potentially, like, this is an extremely important decision because this will be the 4th head coach we hire in 4 years. So we've had 3 consecutive failures at head coach. You know, like we talked about how detrimental just the Pete Carroll regime. This is one of the things we talked about before we hired Pete Carroll. One of the reasons we didn't want him. How detrimental it could be if the Pete Carroll thing didn't work out. And look where we are now. So you have to get this thing right. You can't rush it. And for a person, if they really wanted the job and that you're simpatico and everything is, you know, you're aligned on everything and they can't wait for you to do your due diligence, but then, you know, like that, obviously that's not the person for you. You know, like if they, and I don't fault a candidate for that. You know, you can't wait around. If somebody's offering you a job now and somebody else wants to take their time, then hey, I don't fault anybody for taking what's guaranteed. If you feel that they got their job is guaranteed and you feel this is right for you, take what's right for you and what's guaranteed. But the Raiders, in the position they're in, they have to cast a wide net and they have to do their due diligence. And you never know who you will stumble upon doing your due diligence. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they had no intention of hiring Mike Tomlin when they hired Mike Tomlin. Like, I must say he was a Rooney Rule guy. And then he got in the room, he got in front of those people, and he blew them away. He was a 1-year defensive coordinator with the Vikings. And he got in there and he impressed, you know, after spending a long time with Dungy and in Tampa Bay. So, like, he got in there, he blew their socks off. He's the head coach. Guy goes 20 straight years never having a losing season. right? But that's because they casted a wide net and they looked in places they might not have normally looked. And I think the Raiders are in a position where you have to do that. And I'm a person that's been in positions where I've had to hire people. And even during COVID, like, it was like people were doing virtual interviews or over the phone interviews. I've never been the person that rested on that. You got to come see me face to face if I'm going to bring you into my organization, because I need to feel your presence. How are you in person? Like, how is your behavior? How's your body language, your mannerisms? How do you speak? You know, are you somebody that speaks directly? Are you like averting your eyes every time? Are you unsure of yourself? You speaking like that stuff? I can't necessarily feel if it's a virtual interview, or like, or if I don't meet you multiple times. Maybe you putting up a front this time. Okay, man, I need, you know what, I got a cool feel off. Let's do that again. Let's change the setting, or let's mix it up a little bit and get them out of their comfort zone. You have to see and you have to feel that stuff as a person, because a lot of this stuff, a lot of it is the X's and O's and the, what has he done in the past and what's his references, but a lot of it is how do you feel a person will impact your team. And you really can't feel that unless you get that person in front of you and feel their presence as a man. Like, so that stuff you just got to do. And so that's why I think the Raiders are, like, I'd rather them do their due diligence and maybe miss out on a guy because they're doing their due diligence than hire the wrong guy because they didn't.
I hear you, man. If it's either or, then obviously I'm gonna take the part where they do their due diligence. But the thing is that, like, if they know who their guy is, and that's their guy, right? And that's the guy that they believe in, that they want to, then when you say, like, go ahead and hire him, I'm not saying do what the Dolphins did. Did you hear about that? The Dolphins literally brought in the defensive coordinator from the Packers, and they interviewed him. And I guess after the interview, he was going to go ahead and interview with the Raiders in Miami. And 45 minutes later, the Dolphins bring him back after they talked it over. All they needed was 45 minutes. And they went ahead and they hired him on the spot. Like, they went over there, did rock, paper, scissors. Like, all right, we got to go get him. Like, come on, let's go hire him. Let's not let him go to the Raiders. Or I think he had a scheduled interview with the Browns too as well. But I'm not saying do that. But, like, I think there's something to say to, like, hey, if you know who your guy is, if you have identified them, like, you got to go ahead and go after him. Like, you can't, like, wait and try to, let me interview this guy. And then, like, you lose out. So then you're going to get what? You're going to lose out on, like, the people that you wanted to coach the team. There has to be, like, a healthy medium. Like, there has to be where you got to, like, hey, you have to know who you're going to get and then go after and hire that person.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're passing. Like, if you feel confident in the person that's in front of you and you feel they are the person for sure, then you make the call right then and there. Like, at that point, there's no need to continue it. But you don't want to make that, you don't want to make that move too soon. And you also don't want to you don't want to do it just because you feel pressed to do it, right? You actually want to be solidified and feel confident in that decision. And maybe the Raiders are in a place where they haven't felt comfortable about those guys, or 100% confident in those decisions, and that's fine. Like, maybe they need to circle back around and saying, like, you know what, after talking to these other people, you know what, I like that the second guy we talked to. Like, I thought maybe I want to see some other people, and sometimes they can circle back, and sometimes those guys are going to have other jobs. But if you're not confident in that moment about a guy, then you got to do your due diligence on the other candidates, and if they're still there and you circle back, then so be it. And if they're not, then you hire the next person who you felt a positive vibe from.
Coach is asking, should you think I should give him give the Raiders my resume? I don't know, man. What's your background? You got an offensive background? You got a defensive background?
He gonna have Tommy Eichenberg on a 6-year, $50 million contract, team captain.
Coach, is Coach a linebacker? If you had to guess, is Coach a linebacker coach? Is he a positional coach? Is he a coordinator?
Coach is he's strength and conditioning coach. He is making Jamba juices in the team facility. Like, what's your combination, brother? You like strawberry banana? I got you.
Damn, man. JS says picking the right coaching staff is more important than any draft picks.
Dang near, you can make that argument, man. You can make that argument. Like coaching, this is like in the NBA, talent is much more important than coaching a lot of the times, right? You obviously want to have good coaching, but usually, like if they talk about it, if you have the best player in the series, most of the time you win. But in NFL, like you can schematically overcome talent disadvantages. So like, and there's like two sides of the ball, and there's so many like specified positions and responsibilities where like you have a lot more to play with, and there's a lot more complexity to it in terms of what you can do schematically than just about any other sport. So like coaching goes a long way, to your success as a football team, where the NBA is more talent driven.
Lions are gonna be solid. DK says, would you guys bring in as a DC of LaFleur, Kubiak? I think LaFleur would have some connections to, like, I would think Raheem Morris.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Raheem Morris.
What I think it would be.
Kubiak is interesting because I guess the good thing about Kubiak, even though he's been only in places for only 1 year, you probably can say like, all right, well, he's built relationships in all those places. You would think, right? So could it be a guy from the Saints, or, the Vikings that he could it be the 49ers? He spent some time with the 49ers, with the Seahawks. It can be a lot of different places. I think LaFleur, I can see Raheem Morris.
LaFleur, if it was the hire, like I would almost certainly think it was going to be Raheem Morris.
Yeah. But I will say this, because I know we're talking about this, because I think at this point, man, Mike McDaniel should hire me on staff or whatever, the amount of times that I'm putting his name out there. But Ted mentioned this and it had me thinking, if the Raiders did go with McDaniel, he was saying that it was a potential that he would actually put together a pretty strong staff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember who his DC was with
Anthony Weaver, who's getting head coaching interviews.
Okay. Was he with the Bills for a little while? I want to say Anthony Weaver.
Possibly, but he was the DC last year. He took over after Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing. So that's the one thing that I like about Mike McDaniel for me personally, is the fact that how he's going to develop the quarterback position. What was Tua before Mike McDaniel got there? We already know it wasn't good. He was able to revitalize his career, and what he went from, oh, is he going to be a bust, to, oh man, Tua might be one of the best young quarterbacks for a short period of time, and then we all know the injuries and all that whatnot. But we understand that he led the league in yards and all this stuff. So there's potential for him to develop that quarterback position. So when you got the number 1 pick and you got Mendoza, I think that's highly attractive to get like a Mike McDaniel in the building, because he's able to maximize that position. Then you think about the weapons on offense. He's the fact that, he had the Tyreek Hills, the Waddles, the Davion A-Chains, the Darren Wallers. For him, Darren Waller to come to the Dolphins this year, and for him to maximize his talent, which tells me is like whoever he has, he's going to find a way to maximize his talent. So especially for the Raiders, where, we got like interesting pieces on offense, to say the least, like, what I mean? That's another plus for McDaniel, because he's going to find a way to maximize the guys that we have, right? And then on top of that, he's a play caller, one of the best play callers in the NFL. You got you got Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches in the NFL, saying that, man, some of the things that he's doing with the Dolphins, I'm taking a page out of Mike McDaniel's book and trying to apply it from him. So it's like, and he's a former run game coordinator. Why is that important? Because the Raiders spent a number 6 overall pick on a running back in Ashton Genty. So he's going to be able to maximize the run game. And if you notice, all the best offensive minds in football, they all obviously have a good pass game, but they marry it up with a good run game. The Ben Johnsons, the Kyle Shanahans, the Sean McVays, Would you put Kevin O'Connell in there?
Yeah,
You could probably
for
throw.
sure, for
You
sure.
could probably we could probably throw because I consider Kevin O'Connell like one of the best offensive minds in football. So I think Mike McDaniel to me is I think he's the number. He's a no brainer hire. But I know a lot of people. There's some people in the chat. Well, he's not tough enough, bro. He went to the playoffs 2 out of 4 years. I was saying that when I first seen him, but I'm not going to argue with the results. I'm not going to argue what he's doing with the Dolphins, what he did with the Dolphins. He went to the playoffs his first 2 years. Last year he went 8-9. This last season he went 7-10, and everybody was like coming out the woodworks talking about, well, he lost the locker room, and so the players don't respect him, and they fired the GM. Then he wins 4 straight. You don't win 4 straight games. They finished 7-10. You don't win 4 straight games unless. What? Unless the team still believes in you. You know what I mean? Like there has to be like so and that's the thing too. And it was funny too because obviously we heard all the news about like him going to the Chargers, right? Reportedly, he's expected to go to the Chargers, but nothing official. But I don't know. This would have been a great notable, quotable, or whatever. But it was Hushmanzada was talking about how he was on a recent show. I don't know what show it was. It might have been one of the, I think he was on there with LaShawn McCoy, but he was talking about how he was talking to the players in the locker room, and they're like super excited. They're like, oh man. And he made a point is when players are excited, they're going to go all in the offseason. They're going to find because they know like what's coming. And when what comes with excitement is a belief. So I think that's what Mike McDaniel is going to bring to the Raiders. There's going to be a belief. There's going to be an excitement. And everybody in offense, I think, is going to raise their level another level. You know what I mean? So I just think Mike McDaniel, I know that there possibly might be a ceiling with him because you question like, hey, is he a guy that you can envision taking the Raiders to the Super Bowl? I don't know. It's still a what if, but all these guys are what ifs in that category. Yeah. But you do know that he was able to lead a team to the playoffs. You do know that he was able to lead a team to the playoffs. A Dolphins team, a team that was quarterbacked by Tua. Which, if we're being honest, do we really think Tua is really that good of a quarterback? You know what I mean? Compared to like the other guys around the league. Are you saying he's the most talented? I mean, he has talent. I'm not saying he doesn't have any talent, but he also has some big negatives about him, especially over the course of his career where he's able, he's gotten hurt, and you got Darren Waller saying that he's seeing ghosts out there. Like he won't pull the trigger. So that's what Mike McDaniel had to deal with while he was with the Dolphins, coaching this quarterback and trying to coach this guy up. But now you're going to give him the number 1 pick in Mendoza, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, hopefully, another 1 or 2 receivers. You know what I mean? Like, let's hope, give this guy weapons. I just think it's an easy decision to go with McDaniel it's a safe option. And I'm thinking about development. And once we get past the, okay, he's developed Mendoza part, then you can evaluate McDaniel for what he is. And be like, all right, well, is this the guy that can take us over the hump? Hopefully he hits the ground running, but then we all know this is a rebuild. So if it's a rebuild, it's going to take time, and as the team grows and develops, then you can evaluate from there. And then now you have you got a top quarterback Mendoza, and then you can bring in a top head coach to replace McDaniel. That's how I look at it. I'm looking at it from a chess move. I'm like, hey, look, I'm focused on development and who I know that's going to give me guaranteed results. Not these guys where there's no Ben Johnson. You know what I mean? None of I don't care. Anybody that's in this chat, anybody watching, none of you guys could tell me that there's a Ben Johnson level type of guy other than Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel can compete with him as far as an offensive mind. Now, is he?
Yeah. Well, yes, because he's proven he can compete with him.
Exactly. But, that's just my take on it, bro. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they look at him as more of as an OC. But, bro, an OC that can win as a head coach, I'll take it. Man. Beggars can't be choosers.
Facts. Yeah, facts. I
Raider,
mean,
Raider,
like I
Raider
said, like
fans are like putting their nose up, like, oh, like what are you talking about? So you want to go after a Davis Webb where you don't know nothing about a Clint Kubiak who's had 1 year with one team everywhere he's gone? He was fired. He was fired before the season ended last year with the Saints. Is that not a red flag? Hey, much respect to him that he's having the success he has this year, but let's not act like that's not a red flag. And then
in those situations, I mean, obviously Mickey Loomis, he runs the Saints. You know, he has a stranglehold on the Saints organization, but he's a guy that, hey, if the players are saying, hey, like, let Clint finish this thing out. Let's see what Clint can do for us. Like, if the guys are vouching for him, you know, they got rid of him and they promoted the special teams coordinator, like to interim head coach. You would think they would have gone to Clint. They got rid of Dennis Allen and Clint. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, it's a strange situation. But yeah, like I would like, we aren't in position to turn our nose up at a guy like McDaniel. Like,
we're not zero.
We're not in position
Zero. Raider fans is talking like, oh, he's OC. Bro, this is not Josh McDaniels. This is not this is a guy who's had success. Legit success. Like, you might not like the look. And personally, if I had to choose, I wish we could bring I wish the Raiders had that ability to bring a Mike McDaniel as an OC, but we're not even in that position.
No, not at all.
And I remember I was saying that. I was like, you know what? Maybe if we bring in a Robert Saleh, we can bring in Mike McDaniel as an OC. But I was thinking about, like, I was looking at all these teams that were interviewing Mike McDaniel as an OC, including the Chargers, including Detroit, including, all these. Even I think, did he interview for OC for the Ravens? I think it was a head coach, but
he was head coach.
But it was multiple places. I think the Bucks also interviewed him for offensive coordinator position. I think the Eagles were going after Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. So there were a lot of teams that were competing for his services for offensive coordinator. So I feel like the Raiders had no shot in that category. Like, there was no shot. But as a head coach, I would take the risk. I would go ahead. That's a risk. That's a calculated risk that I would take. Shout out to my guy, Raider Mitch, real quick. Man, shout out to Super Chat, man. He says, like I said last night on the podcast, man, shout out to you and your podcast. Definitely check him out. He says, don't rule out McDaniel. Facts, bro. Facts. But, it seems like he's headed to the Chargers. There's nothing official yet. I think he's holding out to see.
There's an agreement in place, but it's not official.
Yeah,
so
and
they've agreed.
It's also similar to Brian Flores, because Brian Flores agreed to go back to the Vikings, but obviously
if he doesn't get a
head coaching job. So, and I know the Raiders were connected to him early on, but there was no interview, so I don't think that will be a connection with the I don't think he's connected to the Raiders to become a head coach or anything like that. But I know he interviewed for the Steelers job, so he's probably holding out to see if he get that job. But yeah, man, it just makes too much sense, man. Everybody else comes with it's a risk. Justin the DJ says, man, appreciate the super chat, Raider Mitch. He says the Raiders need to hire a head coach with consistent recent success. McDaniel is one, Minter was another. Maybe Kubiak can be another. Kubiak, like I said, scares me. Minter, the thing about Minter, his staff, I don't know who his OC was going to be. Keep it real with you. I had nothing against him. I like his potential. I can make sense of it as far as like, oh man, it's a guy that you can actually build with. But then you start thinking about like, who's his staff going to look like? Who's his offensive coordinator? What is it going to look like? That's a big question for me with Minter.
His time in the NFL has been exclusively with the Harbaugh. So like, what does he look like outside of those confines? Like, what does that look like? But luckily for him, he went to an organization that just, parted ways with the Harbaugh. So, we'll see. I think he was the DC there before, or he was on staff there before. So he'll have some connections to some of the guys on staff. And maybe he wants to, elevate one of those guys. Obviously, I doubt it's going to be Zach Orr because he had a rough year. So, like, he might elevate one of the guys that's already on staff. I mean, Like Mike McDaniel, I think is a very solid candidate. I mean, like I wouldn't. The only candidate I would not be happy with would be Davis Webb, and not because I don't think he can one day be a head coach. It's just that I don't think it's just his time. I don't think it's his time. I think he's just a fresh faced guy. I think he's energetic, and I think he has some good ideas and but like you need a little more seasoning. You need a little more seasoning. You need to get more ripe, more experience, all that stuff. I think it's not his time yet. And if you get a guy in a job when he's not ready yet, that could be disastrous. That could be disastrous. So and to for a guy that has to get in here, develop a rookie quarterback, turn around a defense, overhaul this roster, change this culture. You put all this on a guy that's never even been a coordinator. He never even caught a play in a real NFL game. Like, dog, like, it's nah, bro. That's not the time for you, brother. That is not the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Coach says, I think Raiders don't make enough calculated chess moves. Like, if they get McDaniel, you mess. Yeah. And you said that you mentioned this earlier, man. That's another, and I was saying this earlier. That's another thing, too. If the Raiders decide that Mike McDaniel is their guy, they not only get a good offensive-minded coach, a guy that they know that can develop that quarterback position, that can maximize the players on offense, that's a play caller, that can develop that run game with Ashton Genty, you're going to mess up a division rival. They already lost out on Jesse Minter, and they got all their hopes in him being the OC, and you just literally make a division rival weaker. Yeah. See, they need to do this. It makes too much sense to go ahead and make this move. I think Mike McDaniel should be the guy, and I hopefully the Raiders move on him. But it just seems like, I don't know, man. It's a possibility. Like it could be a Davis Webb. It's a possibility it can be a Clint Kubiak. And that's another thing too about Mike McDaniel too as well is like the staff. I mentioned that being a weakness for other guys. I don't think that's going to be a weakness for Mike McDaniel. Head coach for 4 years. He's able to attract a lot of big names, a lot of good names, a lot of familiar names too as well. Frank Smith, who's a good tight end coach, was his offensive coordinator. I think that would be a solid, hey, bring him back. Bring back Frank Smith. I wouldn't be mad at that, especially with Brock Bowers, you know what I mean, on the team. Like, he's a good tight end coach, so he's going to be able to maximize a Brock Bowers. I know someone mentioned this, but probably just joking around, but like this would be kind of a blast from the past.
Graham is DC? Oh, no.
No. Like I was like, hey, but this would be random, but like, how do you feel about Darren Waller coming back? Because I know Darren Waller was sitting down with Mike McDaniel, and Mike McDaniel was telling him like, we want you back. Like, and he looked good in that offense. He looked good with Mike McDaniel. Yeah. How would you like him as a piece on the offense? He obviously wouldn't be the main guy, but he would probably be a guy that, like, would come in and, like, probably a few limited snaps compared to what he was back in, when he was in his Raiders heyday. Would you be mad at that?
Darren Waller produced more than any tight end in our roster outside of Brock in the limited games. So, like, yeah, I'll be fine with it, Whoever we got to get rid of. And Ian Thomas already gone, so that's already a wrap. If we got to get rid of Michael Mayer, hey, I'm cool with that. Obviously we still need that, like that blocking, rough and rugged type tight end. But hell yeah, I'd be cool with Darren Waller and Brock Bowers. You run 12 with that? That's a matchup nightmare. That's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It just makes too much sense, bro. And he's gonna another thing too is Vic Fangio was his defensive coordinator before Anthony Weaver, which told me that Mike McDaniel, like, he attracts a lot of big name, good coaches because, especially defensive coaches, because they know the offense is going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
I don't think Vic Fangio had any connection to, did he have any? I don't think he had any connection to Mike McDaniel.
He worked for the 49ers.
But Fangio predated Mike McDaniel. Like Mike McDaniel was with the 49ers because of Kyle Shanahan. He was connected more with Kyle Shanahan than he was with, like,
Yeah.
Vic Fangio. Vic
Mike
Fangio
McDaniel.
years ago was with he was on Harbaugh's staff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but
yeah, I don't know.
so
That's the only thing I think of is the 49ers ties.
what I'm saying is that Mike McDaniel, I think there's some truth to him putting a great staff together. Yeah. So that's another plus. So all I'm doing is adding all the good things and looking at all the negatives, and I'm like, man, the positives outweigh the negatives.
No, facts.
So that's the reason why I'm going that route. I'm cool with that, man, because I'm looking at the team. I'm like, man, we're going to be a young team. We're going to be a rebuilding team. If we're able to attract an offensive-minded guy like that, where the most important position is going to be made in this upcoming draft, quarterback specifically, I don't want to mess around and take a risk, bro. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I know there's guys that is intriguing. I know people are going to be like, man, but you see Clint Kubiak and how he has that offense rolling? Yeah. And they might very well hire him, but I'm going to be here. You know, if the Chargers drop like 50 and I'm watching the Raiders offense struggle, or you know what I mean? I got Raider PTSD. Don't get it twisted, but I'm just saying, I just think that it's a no-brainer decision to go with a Mike McDaniel. Is there and look, I've looked at every other candidate. Let's say Ajiro Evero, right? He was interviewed twice. He had a second in-person interview this week. Guess who he's connected with? We talked about it last show. He's connected with Nathaniel Hackett. That's his. I'm just saying that's a guy that he's really close with, and that he would easily, hire because this is a relationship business, right? So he's gonna hire the guys that he knows before guys that you feel like would be better qualified or a better candidate. That's how it is in the NFL. It's all about relationships.
The thing about Ajiro Evero is that he has connections to the Bucs organization. He worked for the Rams. He worked for the 49ers. Obviously, he was with he's with the Panthers right now. So he's had his foot in several locations. So he can draw from any of these places. Obviously, him and Hackett are close because he's known them since he was on the Buccaneers staff. Like when he first started coaching back in I think 2006, 2007, something like that. So he's known them for a while, but he's worked for all these organizations, for the Broncos, obviously, but I think that was under Nathaniel Hackett. So he's been in all these places. So he's a guy that's another guy I like just because of the environments he's been in. That some of the defensive guys he's worked on, he was on Vic Fangio's staff, right? He worked in Green Bay. He was in Green Bay as well. So he's been in all these different locations where he's been able to see how it's done, worked under some great defensive minds, with staffs that had great offensive minds as well. So that's why you look at that as okay, this is the guy that's been in the lab, competing against these people in practice and scheming against these guys and getting advice from these guys and picking these people's brains. That's a guy that interests me. So, but yeah, if it's gonna be Nathaniel Hackett as offensive coordinator,
because it's all about, like I said, it's all about relationships, and that's an easy one to connect with him, unless they do what they did last year and be like, oh yeah, you could be the head coach, but we're gonna have to pick your offensive coordinator, and we know how that can be risky as well because. If one guy doesn't know the other guy, then it's like, man, are you doing your job correctly? I don't trust you. Are you trying to come? It's just, you could tell, Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll bumped heads. There was a disconnect there, and that affected this year. There was a dysfunctional element to the Raiders, which is not a surprise, but that's what happened. So I don't want it to be a situation where, the coach cannot pick his staff. Why don't we just pick a coach who knows how to pick a staff and that you can trust to do that? Let's make it simple. Make it make sense. Silver and Fact says you make a great argument, then why haven't we signed him? Paralysis over analysis, man. I think it's a situation where they're to me, they're trying to do their due diligence, but sometimes the simple answer could be right in front of you. That's what I'm looking at. I'm like, bro, this is simple. It's simple. Just go ahead and just make this move, man. It just makes too much sense. But that's just me.
I think part of the reason they're waiting is obviously I think they want to talk to these other candidates again. Now, and I don't think there's anywhere else where he's a really good fit. I think that like we're maybe the only show in town for him in terms of head coaching opportunities. Because Pharaoh was talking to me offline. He was saying I think it was just us and the Ravens, right? Obviously, the Ravens position has been taken by JC Mentor. So, we could be the only game in town for him as a head coach. So if he wants to be a head coach, it could be us or nothing. So that puts us in a power position of, okay, well, we can kind of wait this thing out.
And he canceled.
Do the due diligence.
He
canceled the Browns. Yeah, the Browns probably would have did it, actually. The Browns are desperate.
Yeah.
They are hurting right now. But,
yeah.
But I don't think, like he might not want to be there. So, it could be us or nothing. And like, if he really wants to be a head coach, like he's going to wait. And it's not like he'll be destitute if he doesn't get the job with us. He still has a fallback plan. So I think that kind of puts him in a position where, okay, he's comfortable. He has security because he knows he's already has an agreement in place with the Chargers. And he still has a possibility of being a head coach with the organization that he wants to be a head coach for. So, I think that lets us play this out a little bit longer. Whereas maybe if it's another situation where we're in a bidding war for services where we have to, jump on it quickly. Like we have to do a Miami Dolphins with Jeff Hafley and, shoot a game of dice in the back and, whoever get the high point win, you get your guy. But we're not rushing right now because we know we're the only show in town for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because there was only two spots that he was connected to from a head coaching standpoint, and Raiders know that, so they're taking their sweet time. We'll see, man. We'll see how they go about it. Hey, shout out with the super chat. I like McDaniel. Folks forget what he did with the Winers and the Shannon. He took Mostert with him and dipped to the Dolphins and balled out. Yeah. True. Yeah, man. Like I said, he was I think he was a run game coordinator. I don't know when he left. Was he an OC? He was OC, but prior to him being an OC, he was a run game coordinator. And I'm sure he had a lot of relationships with the running backs with the 49ers.
He was a run game coordinator, and Michael Floor was a pass game coordinator.
There you go. And then, to Mostert over here, I think he had 17. Did he lead the league with 17 touchdowns 1 year?
Touchdowns, yeah.
So that goes to my point of maximizing the players that you have. No one looks at Mostert as like an elite player, but the fact that he was able to lead the league in touchdowns speaks to that Mike McDaniel is able to just know the strengths of the players and maximize the players that he has. And when you have guys like Ashton Genty, when you have guys like Brock Bowers, you start thinking about the possibilities. Even a Trey Tucker, you know what I mean? Maybe he can unlock a Trey Tucker even more than what we've seen in recent memory. And the offense might look completely different than what we've seen in years past. Meaning a lot of the offense that we've seen with the Dolphins, that was based off the strengths of Tua and his strengths as a passer and the weapons that they had. They had a whole lot of speed on offense. The Raiders don't really have that much. They don't have a whole lot of speed on offense like that, but we do have certain playmakers and certain players that have certain strengths on offense. So he's going to be able to hone in on that. And, we'll see how it looks like. We'll see if the Raiders make that decision. We'll see. Do you think it's going to happen next week?
If it's not one of the guys that are going to be advancing to the Super Bowl, yeah. But if they're dead set on Clint Kubiak and they advance to the Super Bowl, then no. So, or if they're dead set on Michael Floor and they advance to the Super Bowl, no. Or if they're dead set on Davis Webb and they advance to the Super Bowl, then no.
I seen today that Lamar Jackson has some high praise for Clint Kubiak and what he does on offense, and that's another thing too that I think we need to. I feel like we need to squash it a little bit. There's a rumor going out saying that the Raiders are possibly interested in trading for a Lamar Jackson, What's your thoughts on that, man?
I don't think it's gonna happen, and I wouldn't want it to happen at this point. It's like I want to trade Max Crosby because we're not on the same timeline. Now,
Right.
obviously, quarterbacks play for a longer time, and and people will say, "Oh, once Lamar can't run anymore." Now, Lamar has advanced greatly as a passer, so I think he will still be an effective player in NFL, even when he can't run as much as he does, right now. But just his cap hit, losing out on the first pick. Like, one of the reasons you want a young quarterback is because you get that salary cap relief to, if you hit on a guy and you see year 1 or year 2 that he's your guy, okay, man, you got a cheap quarterback on your team. Now you can kind of load up everywhere else and really, push hard for a Super Bowl run and, potentially win one. Trading the number 1 overall pick for Lamar Jackson, who's 29, that's like Mendoza's about to be 23, so you lose like 6 years right there.
Mm-hmm.
Of like being on a cheaper contract, at least for sure the first 5 years, because what teams usually do is they pick up that 5th-year option and add that extension off of that. So like we'll lose 5 years of cheap quarterback contracts. Like it's really not worth it. And this roster isn't in a position to bring a guy in like Lamar and win immediately. Like if this was a team that we had under McDaniels, oh, bro, you trade that. Trade it. We had Devontae and Waller and Renfro with Josh Jacobs and, oh, yeah, trade the pick, get Lamar. We can make a push for a Super Bowl right now, but we're not in that position. So I don't think we should do it.
What happens if it's just the number 1 pick, the first overall pick? That's all they're asking for. You wouldn't do it?
I don't think we're in a position to do it. I like if you just would I love to have Lamar Jackson on my team? Oh, for sure. But I don't think we're in a position to win immediately. I think we have so many holes on this roster that we'll just be trading for Lamar Jackson to put him on the worst offense and the worst defense. like he ain't won one with what he has in Baltimore. And and some part of the reason he hasn't won is because he doesn't have the weapons on the outside that you would need to win, or people would want to have for your star quarterback to win. So you're going to put him in a position with a worse running back, worse receivers, a better tight end, but probably worse offensive line, worse defense. Like we're not in position to do it. In a better division, kind of, because the Bengals been kind of down, Steelers up and down. Obviously the Browns are bad, so we're not in a position to do it.
Yeah. Real quick, let me address the super chat real quick. My guy Raider Mitch again, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says, I think what they like about Webb is that he has strong connections with Daboll and Kingsbury. So that's what I'm saying. Like, for it to work, I seen that he has connections with the Daboll and Kingsbury. If Daboll doesn't get the head coaching job, because I think he's still in that head coach candidate with for the Bills. We'll see how that shakes out. Kingsbury is also connected to a lot of OC jobs. I seen he might be connected to the Ravens with Jesse Minter. And also Anthony Weaver, I believe. He's also connected with Anthony Weaver as an offensive coordinator as well. So we'll see. But it's still, like I said, it's Webb, might be intriguing in some ways, but it also comes with a big risk. And the Raiders don't have. I could understand if like the candidate pool wasn't as strong, and you had to really bet on a guy and figure out, okay, what are the things that you like the most, and you feel like, all right, this is but that's not the coaching cycle now. Like, there's actually multiple candidates that you can choose from, and if I had to choose, you already know who I'm going with. His name rhymes with McDaniel. No, but man, another super chat from Raider Mitch. My guy. McDaniel sober since 2016, Waller since 2017, Max since 2020. I've been sober since 2009. There's a connection, recovery, words, and unity, man. Let's go. Hey, man. That's what's up, bro. That's what's up, man. Hey, man, look. Hey, another reason. Another reason, man. But appreciate the super chat. Benjamin Allright thinks Kubiak is the one that's getting the job. Ugh. Oh, man.
Benjamin Allright.
I hope. Hey, if it's Kubiak,
I don't know his track record. Which Kubiak? Is it Clint or Clay?
It's most likely Clint. And then Benjamin is not high on Mendoza too. He was saying, well, it's not that he's personally high on him. It's like he's saying that like people that he's talked to are saying that like the NFL is not as high on him. Like you already know. Remember what I said before? I was like, bro, like we've been talking about quarterbacks during the season. It's so much time. They're gonna like literally, they're gonna find every little thing to like, don't like, because it's number one pick. They're gonna have to. They're gonna
dissect it.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, not even just the fact he's the number one pick, but he's been the center of attention. Like Shador, they found like they nitpicked everything that Shador did. Like people thought Cam Ward was gonna be the number one guy. Even Cam Ward didn't get the level of scrutiny that Shador got. It's just that certain prospects, you know, like people, if they see flaws, then they'll start expanding on them. You know, they'll get a thread and they'll keep pulling that thread, and all of a sudden now it's way bigger than it actually is. So that's what's going to happen. He's a presumptive number one overall pick, number one quarterback, and he's the media darling right now. Like a story about Mendoza is going to drive eyeballs to the story. So he's going to get a lot of attention, and people like those hot takes where they say, "Oh, he's not good," or "He's a fourth rounder" and stuff like that, and you know that's just clickbait type stuff.
TK says Clint Kubiak has the face that makes you want to punch him. Let's go LaFleur.
Bro, TK, look, man. I already said it in the past. I said what I said in the past. Y'all can watch the past videos. I'm gonna say it again. But yeah, bro, it's consent forms being signed in the Kubiak household, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Black Sunday says the best options are still coaching in the playoffs. I don't think there's any need to panic. Okay. All right, man. People have belief. Sometimes people have belief in the guys that you know don't have any coaching experience. So it's like there's a big what if to them. Like, oh, there's a big possibility. Like, man, what could be? There's that factor. But you know, to me, McDaniel is this year's Ben Johnson. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm like.
Not that. I wouldn't say that. But I think
from an offensive standpoint,
yeah, the offensive standpoint, he's probably the best schemer that you have. You know, best schemer, best play caller. He's probably that guy.
He's top 5 in the NFL, bro. He's top 5.
Yeah.
And as of right now, and he could be higher. He could be higher depending on the year that he's having. But like, if we had to safely rank him, he's in that top 5.
Yeah, for sure. But see, thing about it is like, look, what goes against LaFleur is that LaFleur doesn't call plays. Sean McVay calls plays, but LaFleur is in charge of the offense. And you look what that offense has done, what Puka has done, what Devontae has done, with their tight end. It was a Higbee, what he's done. People thought Matthew Stafford was dead in the water. He's MVP candidate. Either him or Drake May are going to win the MVP. Puka's going to probably win offensive. Well, by now it's going to probably go. Actually, it's going to go to Jason. Jason's going to win offensive player of the year. Puka's in the strong conversation. Kyron Williams, super productive. Blake Corum, super productive. So I think LaFleur I think his game is top flight as well. But obviously he doesn't have the advantage of being a play caller, so you don't know. But when Mike LaFleur left Kyle Shanahan, he never called plays either. So I look at a guy, and you see a guy that's been with Shanahan and McVay. He's grabbing stuff from both of those guys. Like I just think it's a situation where it's like you kind of get the best of both worlds.
So Silver and Facts, they interviewed him recently. There was a virtual interview. They did a virtual interview with Mike LaFleur. Like as we were saying, a lot of these candidates are still in the playoffs, including Mike LaFleur. So they're gonna have to wait till next. Yeah, so they're gonna have to wait until next weekend. So it sucks though, man. And that's another thing that I don't like sometimes. I mean, you want to get your guy no matter what. You want to get your guy, but it sucks that you have to wait to do that because you also want to start like building out your staff, and the longer you wait, the more of a disadvantage that you are compared to other teams who already hired their coach. They're already contacting guys. They're already putting together, you know what I mean? Because we all know, like, yeah, you want to get the head coach, but you also want to get, in some cases, the OC right, the DC right, the offensive line coach right. You know, some of these position coaches. You want to get the best guys that you can get, and the longer you wait, the harder it would be to get the top guys.
Yeah.
Everything has a script. Everything, that's why they get paid, including the refs. It's all about the money that the whole NFL makes. They already know who the Raiders coach is. Just wait. All right, man. Hey, man. It's part of the script. Hey, possibly. The NFL is entertainment. D-Moke says QB who probably has more than whoever goes in there, almost like Aaron and Salah, who probably has more power than anywhere goes in there.
Who you talking about? Almost like Aaron and Salah.
QB probably has more power than whoever goes in there.
Are you talking about Lamar with Lamar with the Ravens? Is that what you talking about? Expand on that, D-Mokes. Expand on that a little bit, brother.
Yeah, he might be, I don't know, maybe he might be responding to something in the chat. You know, hey, man, the chat's going crazy, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's see here, man. We got, man, everybody coming through, bro. We fire coaches like every year. We do. That's why That's why I have no problem hiring a McDaniel, because on one end, it's a safe option. On one end, we know that what we're going to get from a development standpoint of the offense, because we got a lot of young pieces. Another end, too, is like, you know what? Worst case scenario, he develops a guy on offense, but then we determine, you know what? We need a guy to take us to that next level. And then when the next guy comes in, Mendoza has established himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, hopefully. Brock Bowers is Brock Bowers. You know, Genty, hopefully he's put up numbers under McDaniels, and then another piece on offense. And, you know, it's just going to make the Raiders more attractive. It's just high floor. Think about that, high floor. He's a high floor candidate. Maybe that will probably translate better. Hell no, Lamar Jackson. I thought about it when I thought, like, if the Raiders just traded a first round pick for him. Like the number one pick. This number one overall, because the big thing I was against it was like, man, if we trade multiple first round picks and draft picks, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Because now you're taking away the assets that would help put the pieces around a Lamar Jackson. Yeah. But he's 29 years old, and bro, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is he's look.
That's a top 5 guy. You know what I mean? That's a top 5 guy.
Guaranteed. Top 5.
Former MVP. Like, what are we talking about here?
2-time. Probably should have been 3-time, but 2-time MVP.
And
it's like,
yeah,
it's tough to say no.
And I like Mendoza. I like Mendoza, but I'm not gonna act like he's Lamar Jackson. I'm not gonna act like that. And does he have that type of ceiling? You know, is he gonna become an MVP winner? Do I want that to happen? Yes, but can I say for a fact that Mendoza is gonna be that? I don't know.
Like, Matthew Stafford's never won MVP. He's won a Super Bowl, you know, but Matthew Stafford, and it took him going to another team to do that. Yeah. So it's like, there's no guarantee Mendoza's ever better than Lamar Jackson. Like, I would love Lamar, but I think the contract is too cost prohibitive, and I don't think we'll be well equipped to build the team around him. You know?
Man, shout out to my guy Smoke. He says, I want my girl to look at me like Mark did Mendoza during warm-ups. Mark was there, like, just, man, was that probably, would you think that was his first, like, college game that he went to in a long time? Like,
probably in a while.
To actually look at a specific player, you know what I mean? It's probably, like, a long time, if ever at all.
Remember, we've been through this song and dance before, though. Remember, Mark Davis was like, if you lived in Vegas, you'd be home already. Like, talking to Shador. If you lived in Las Vegas, you'd already be by your house. Like, we've been seeing this song and dance. So I don't let this media stuff fool me no more, man. Like, they used to give, oh man, you see that? The only time it burnt me was when, like, Devontae bought a house in Vegas. I was like, man, I ain't paying no attention to that, man. Like, you know, like, I ain't paying no attention to that. His best friend is Derek Carr. Devontae probably got a house in New York, Miami, Cali. You know, he getting one in Vegas too. Like, it's what ballers do. Yeah. And then that actually, but not most of the time, all that is just smoke and, you know, just stuff to, hey, you know what? Hey, the Raiders really want Mendoza. Like, if we want to move up, we gotta increase this deal. And just so they might not want to trade him or have any intention of trading him at all, but they still want to drive up costs and just see what we can get. Yeah. If they give us a Godfather deal, okay, we'll do it. But if not, we feel more than comfortable taking Mendoza. But if they willing to give us like 4 first-round picks, okay, then I might have to do that. So I think that's what it's like.
We'll see. I think they're going to draft their guy, but yeah, man, a Godfather deal, man. We'll see. It's going to be. Hey, look, I'm excited. Like this is my Super Bowl. As a Raider fan, the offseason is this is the playoffs for me. This is the Super Bowl. You know, to being a Raider fan, like the best part of the year is during the offseason. The season is where I'm just like, damn, like this is what we waited for the whole time.
Hey, but know what's the craziest thing though? Is like the off season is like our Super Bowl, and like our last Super Bowl, we've been losing these motherfuckers every year. We've been losing these motherfuckers every year. It was like, goddamn.
Man.
What can't we win in the off season too? Like we can't win the regular season in the off season.
Yeah,
not since Brock. Brock was the only like dub we got.
But the one thing to keep in mind, the Raiders have to spend money. They have to spend money. They're that's where they're at as far as where their cap is. They have over $100 million, and I think there's a mandate for them to actually go out there and actually be aggressive and actually spend money, and hopefully they address the offensive line. I think that's going to probably be a big target for them in the offseason, which is going to be exciting. So I think the Raiders are going to be aggressive in free agency, and then they're going to have the number 1 pick. I wanted them to have the number 1 pick outright, where they had the number 1 choice in every round, but they had to just mess around and win that last game and make it all confusing. And now it's just like, man, like, because that second round would have been so nice, that first pick in the second round, because we know after that first round, there's always going to be
first round pick.
Yeah,
basically another first round.
There's gonna be a couple of guys that's gonna drop. You already know it happens every year. But you know, hey, look, at the end of the day, it's still gonna be high first round pick. It's either way, and they can easily trade up if they wanted to get a guy that they really like, and I'm sure they can make that happen. Man, salute to my guy. Just another DJ, man. Appreciate the super chat. He says, how would you guys feel if the Raiders missed out on a good candidate for Kubiak, who ends up taking a deal with a team like Buffalo or Pittsburgh? Whew, that's what I was trying to allude to earlier when I asked Severe, when I said, hey, how do you feel about how the Raiders are going about it? They're interviewing everybody, opposed to last year where they had a specific crop of candidates that they've interviewed and then they made their decision. That's what I'm trying to get at, is like at some point they have to identify who their guy is and then go and get him. At some point they got to do that. If they keep trying to interview everybody else, then you might not have any options, because all the good guys are gonna get hired. No, so
facts. I mean, but like, obviously, Pharaoh will be ecstatic if we still end up with Mike McDaniel somehow.
Just keep saying Mike McDaniel, but put it in the universe, please.
Pharaoh gonna be on this thing doing backflips. If we get like he gonna give a damn. Kubiak, cool. But we got, me. I'm gonna be, because I'm not super high on Kubiak. Like if we get him, I'll be comfortable with him as a hire. But I'm not like everybody's like, man, we gotta have Clint Kubiak. Like I'm not like that. I'm like, okay, he's a solid candidate. Like I said, bro, he's like 4th for me. I got 2 defensive guys over Clint Kubiak, to be honest with you. And then that's with me assuming we're going to draft the quarterback. That's not how unimpressed I am with Clint Kubiak. So it's like, if we lose out on Clint Kubiak, I mean, I'm going to be pissed if we lose out on good candidates waiting for Clint Kubiak and he go somewhere else. I'm going to be mad just because I really wasn't that crazy about him to begin with. But, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and Vinny, like going back to what we were talking about earlier about Vinny, when he put out that Twitter post, and he was saying that that this year's group of offensive candidates is not as strong in years past. Like we said earlier, Vinny's kind of like connected to the Raiders in some way, so for him to put that out there, it's kind of the Raiders saying that. So it's just like, what do you think it really means? Do you think it's them preparing you for them to go after a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience, or are they going to go after a defensive guy? Because when you say that, and Mike McDaniel's out there, and the Clint Kubiaks is out there, and the Mike LaFleur is out there, you're taking a shot at them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Joe Brady, technically Joe Brady is out there, so it's like, Brian Daboll's out there. It's like, yeah, To me, first of all, it was just a ridiculous comment because I don't
Yeah,
think it's accurate.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think it's accurate. But
yeah.
also for the flip side, yeah. But like we said earlier, it could be, you know what? All of these offensive guys have major red flags. But since they all have major red flags, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go with the guy we think has the most potential. We think Davis Webb has the most potential, so we're gonna do that. Or all these guys have major flags, and the best candidate with the least amount of major red flags, that checks the most boxes
Mm-hmm.
is a defensive guy, Jiro Evero, or obviously we haven't talked to Brian Flores yet, but he's a guy, or Mike or Shula. Is it Shula? If it's just Shula, hey, maybe that's the. So like maybe that's they're thinking, or maybe that's the message they're using their squire, Vinny Bonsignor, to put out there to kind of soften the landing when that move happens.
Hey, Shula and Shoelace. I ain't mad at that.
Hey, that could be it.
Shula and Shoelace.
The shoelace connection.
Shula and Shoelace.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. That would be wild when we did that.
Hey, shout out to my guy Raider Mitch again with the super chat, man. Appreciate you, my guy. Said Mendoza, then hope. He says Mendoza, then hope you can grab Boston in a sec. Oh, man, that would be a great draft.
Yeah. I mean, I love Boston, but I think we got to address offensive line, man. I think we got to address offensive line.
Look, I'm doing Boston just with the assumption that the Raiders aggressively address the offensive line in free agency. If they don't do that, or if they don't fully do that, then I can see what you're saying. You know what I mean? I can see that. And also, like, to be honest with you, outside of Boston, because I'm assuming like the top guys are going to be going in the first round, like the Carnell Tates and the all the other receivers that are going to go out. The outside receivers. I'm not looking at slot. Maybe you could look at a slot. Maybe you look at and say, like, do the Raiders really have a like? Yeah. They could do that, but I really don't. I really want an outside guy. I want like a big target. I want a big.
So
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, man. So I would want a big target. But if like Boston's not there, then I can see them addressing the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, easy, the defensive line, or even the secondary. They could do that as well. So they can go a lot of different routes, man. Appreciate the super chat. James Firpo just wanted to show up, man, and say Raiders. I got you,
special,
bro.
Man. That's it special. That's the James Firpo special.
Man, his pictures be crazy too.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, exactly. O-line and free agency. That's why that's my assumption. So, but if they don't address offensive line and free agency, that would be wild. And I am not gonna lie, like Spytek is just setting himself up for all types of getting cussed out by all Raider fans. Tall target there, CJ Daniels, Jacoby Lane.
Yeah, I know you're not high on Jacoby Lane. You kind of said it.
I mean, like, what round are we talking about?
Jacoby Lane, he's gonna probably be second or third.
Damn,
he's probably going after Surratt. But people like what I've been hearing from some NFL people, they're saying that Surratt is a second round guy, but that a lot of people in NFL circles like Omar Cooper better than Surratt. And that he could be early second and push it to the late first. That's what they think of Omar Cooper. So I'm like, damn, like I didn't know. And I think he's like a senior too. He's been at Indiana his entire career. So yeah, I'm like, man, okay.
Edgar says they got three options they can go after: McDaniel, Kubiak, LaFleur. Either of them about should be good. McDaniel does have the upper hand for me. Yeah, facts, bro. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it, man. Like at the end of the day, man, if they go after one of these guys and they identify them, I'm sure like these guys probably sold them on their plan and how their vision on how they want to build this football team. And you got to think about it from this perspective too. We all know that Brady is a part of the decision making on who's going to be the next head coach, but Spytek is too. So Spytek probably wants a guy that he could grow with and build with too, and have the same and have the same vision. So that's a big part of their decision making as well. Like so whoever that's going to be, if it's a Clint Kubiak, is it a McDaniel, is it a Davis Webb, which it's a possibility, man. We'll see. LaFleur, you like a lot. Surratt, but Surratt's he's like a possession guy. I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, I just like the fact that like Denzel Boston's like 6'4", 6'5". You know what I mean? Has good speed. Come on routes. Like I'm like, man, he has the potential to be like a number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he could day one. I think he just would fit well with, and Surratt does too because he played with him, right? I get it. Like there's a chemistry there, but I just like that there's a potential for him to be a number one guy. I don't know if I look at Surratt as a number one guy. I look at him maybe like a number 2, 3 guy.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like a possession guy. Let's see. And we got to see what we have in some of the guys that we drafted in the second round last year. The guy, you know, Jack Besh, you know, isn't he supposed to do something?
If we had drafted the guy I wanted to it, we would be all right at receiver right now.
Omnicron, hey man, I'm telling you, man, let's let the Raiders pull Al Davis. Come on, Tom Brady, Spytech, pull Al Davis and be like, oh, y'all thought y'all had McDaniel? No, you don't. He's our head coach. Love Chris Bell. How you feel about Chris Bell? Obviously, I don't know if you got into like your receivers. Super athletic, like he's a yak guy, like 6'2".
Where's he at? Where'd he go?
I think he went to Louisville.
I haven't really looked at him yet.
Hold on, let me make sure. Chris Bell. If you haven't, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Yeah, he went to Louisville. He's like 6'2", 220. We lost possession. See, yeah, Surratt's like good number 2, 3 receiver. You know what I mean? Surratt's like Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think he's a strong number 2. I think he's just for sure.
I don't know. Keenan Allen, like in college, was a lot more explosive. I know when he got into the draft process, they picked him apart and was like, he's slow. But I just felt like Keenan Allen was a lot more shiftier and like, you know, I don't know. Surratt is more of a possession guy, which it's not a bad thing, but it's just if
he runs good routes.
All I'm saying is Denzel is good enough to take in the second round, and then like if he's not there, then I will start looking at other positions. I'm like, all right, hey, if that guard from Oregon is there, Pragon,
yeah,
I'll take him. Defensive line, like we gotta look at like if Max is gonna still be here. Man,
this dude from Texas Tech, I think that's a dog.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was gonna go first round. Still dude from Oregon. I think Amari Washington. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but I gotta really get into the draft. I really ain't been paying attention to it yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the draft in the offseason. Like right now, we're focused on like who the next head coach is going to be, and then obviously after that, it's going to be the coaching staff. Hopefully, they can lock up some guys, build that staff out. That's the one thing that I'm concerned about is like I don't want us to like, man, if it's going to be Clint Kubiak, I hope the Seahawks lose this weekend. If that's the guy that they've like targeted, that they want, like I hope he loses so that he can get ahead, start putting together his staff. Or if it's going to be Mike LaFleur, go ahead and pull that trigger. If they still don't know and they still are like highly considering like a Mike McDaniel, but they just want to interview the other guys before they make their decision, then hopefully they can do that by next week. Because I think they're going to have an ability to interview after this weekend. There's going to be like a window for them to interview or get like some second interviews in. Obviously for the teams that like, yeah, no matter what, like if a team loses, yeah, for sure. But for the teams that won and the guys they're probably gonna have that, man. Man, this is a nasty year. Like Denver and Patriots AFC Championship game, that's ugly. Like I'm really rooting for the Rams to win. The Rams, Rams or Seattle or Seattle, whatever. I just come on. It's just I don't want to see Denver or the Patriots like do anything. As far as
I don't want to see. I don't mind the Patriots. I don't mind the Patriots winning.
Oh man, that's I remember Tucker rule, man. That's ingrained into my soul. That's I'm sorry, I can never. Tom Brady, I know he with the Raiders, but like I hated him for years. I hated him for years.
I don't have the same hate for the Patriots that other people do, but I know some people some people get super wrapped up in that. Like, I don't. I hate the Rams. I live out here. I don't like the Broncos. I just don't like Sean Payton. I don't want Sean Payton to win. He's a jerk.
Yeah, and he's talking trash too.
I for sure don't want him to win. Yes, for sure don't want him to win. Like I'd rather like if it's Vrabel or if it's Mike McDaniel, I'm cool with that. I didn't even support Vrabel. I'd have to hear all the people. What you think about Vrabel now? Like, hey, bro, he won it. Cool. Hey, him and Josh McDaniels got a ring together. We're happy for him.
Yeah.
So like I'd rather that than hear these Rams fans, these fair weather Rams fan that all of a sudden they Rams fans because they back in LA.
Yeah.
So I ain't trying to deal with that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You kind of see that's how. Hey, man, it depends on where you from, where you at, man. So you in that LA area, so you got to deal with like that fan base over there. But I mean, do they have a big fan base? Rams?
Not big. They're not big, but they're obnoxious.
I see. Okay.
The biggest fan bases out here are like the Niners, the Cowboys, the Raiders, and the Steelers. The Rams are like right in that area, but
okay. How about a Charger? Have you ever seen a Charger fan in LA?
Rarely. They all fit the same.
They don't come outside.
They fit the same mode too, bro. They all fit the same mode, bro. They all fit the same mode. Like, you a Chargers fan? Like, I can tell. But yeah, it's just man. You know, like they be coming out wearing their Dan Fouts jersey, like that's the.
Yeah, I mean, if the Seahawks or Rams win it, I'm not tripping. But Denver and the Patriots, that's ugly. That's super ugly, man. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Clock in at this point, clock out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, we had a great conversation, man. We just wanted to come here and talk about the latest and greatest with the Raiders. Obviously, you know, they still haven't hired their head coach. Hopefully, by next time that we see y'all next week on 50/50 show every Tuesdays, man. Definitely check us out. Hopefully the Raiders we'll have like a good idea, and that it's just only a matter of time. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Nakua is a beast, though.
I want y'all to know that y'all rooting for Devontae Adams and Jimmy G to win the Super Bowl. I just want y'all to know that. Know that you're rooting for Devontae Adams and Jimmy Garoppolo to win the Super Bowl. Just remember that.
Hey. On that note, then, so I guess you want I guess you want the Seahawks. Seahawks would be the team that you would want to win Super Bowl.
I'd be cool with the Seahawks. I'd be cool with Darnold getting one, you know.
But you'd be cool with the Patriots winning one?
I'd be cool with the Patriots winning one.
Oh, man. It don't sound right coming from a Raider fan. You cool with the Patriots winning it? Come on, man.
I'm cool with that, man. Hey, look, Kyle Williams, all the players I wanted. You got Travion over there. You got Kyle Williams over there. You got Chason winning one.
Oh, man. I hated the Patriots. I'm not even like, I know like it's not the same like it used to be, but like I've hated the Patriots for years, man. For that Tuck rule and just like, man, I just hated the team, period. And
I just didn't like Brady and Belichick. Those are people I really didn't like. Now that neither one of them are there, I have no feelings about that. Like I used to hate the Packers because I hated Brett Favre. But now Brett Favre not there. I don't give a damn about the Packers.
Oh, hey, name is Ray says Severe. You rooting for McDaniels getting a ring?
Yeah, I think we did McDaniels dirty.
Oh man! All right. On that note, man, we out of here, man.
I think we did McDaniels dirty. I don't think he should have been fired.
Oh yeah, you know what? So speaking to DK, look right here, man. You forced me to do this, man.
Hell no, to the no, hell to the no.
We fired McDaniels. McDaniels didn't quit. Devontae quit.
Man, I just can't do it. I mean, look, I like the Rams. I really don't care, but if you really break down the details of it, then it would be Seattle. Seattle would be like the least. I don't care if they win or anything like that. Yeah. Seattle would be that team.
Would be the least offensive winner. But the thing about Seattle is that old school Raider fans, when Seattle was in the AFC West, they hate the Seahawks. But I would also like Seattle winning one just to stick it to Pete Carroll old ass one more time. You old motherfucker. We're going without your old ass. Get your old ass out of here.
Damn, that is true, because they got him out of there, hired the coach that right now has him one game away from the Super Bowl, and the GM that, Pete Carroll had power over. He had veto power over, was able to put together that team, the talent they currently have on that team. It has all been put together from John Snyder, who, man, he's one of the best GMs in the NFL. So that's a good point. That's a good point. So Seattle it is. The Seahawks it is. Oh, man. But, hey, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. We'll be back here next week, man. 50-50 show. Severe, man. Let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Just know what it is, man. Severe here on Severe Raider here on YouTube, IG, Snapchat, TikTok, X, everywhere. The Severe Raider. Holla at your boy, man. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Around the Shield and the 50-50 show with my dog, PharoahNFL. Sundays and Wednesdays. I'm in the Raider War Room with Christian Protect the Shield and 805 Raider, man. Make sure you tap in. Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure y'all hype the video. And leave a comment, man. I like to holler at y'all, in the comment section. So make sure y'all do that on both channels. Support your guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Follow me all over social media, PharoahNFL. Obviously, most importantly, subscribe to PharoahNFL on YouTube. And then also, if you guys haven't already, Around the Shield on X and on IG, give it a follow, man, for the latest and greatest with the Raiders, podcast clips, all that good stuff, man. You'll find it there. We'll be back here, 50-50 show, and then Around the Shield. We're going to try to see if we can put together risk. I know we did like a call-in show a few weeks back. We had some technical issues, but we're going to bring that back. So make sure to stay tuned for that. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Like I said, man, hopefully the Raiders figure out this head coaching situation out, and then let them build a foundation and let them build it from there. And then hopefully they can start a great offseason from the head coach, then hire, the staff hires, the free agency, then obviously finally the draft, which everybody's looking forward to, that number one pick. But we'll be back here next Tuesday, man, Around the Shield, or actually 50-50 show, man. We'll be back here next Tuesday, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Any last thoughts, Severe, before we head out?
Yeah, man. Hopefully soon. Hopefully by the 50-50 show we have our head coach in place. That would be ideal. That would be a great conversation to have that day. Kind of look back, maybe pull up some of his pressers, look at his offense, look at their defense, whatever the case may be. Hopefully by then. So we'll see. These games that are taking place this weekend, that can go a long way to us determining who our next head coach will be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Well, we out of here, man. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.